Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. Hey, we got a really good show for you guys today. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you to our sponsor, Emergo Academy. You guys hear me talk about these guys at the beginning of every show, every single week. These guys are the stuff, man. I'm telling you. They're just not another program. They're all about the brain first approach, is what I really love about their program. I have actually taken their training. I have been actually certified as a crisis and recovery coach. But really, what I loved most about their training is it's really helped me understand life a lot more. It's also helped me understand how the brain works. So, guys, even if you're not even interested in being a crisis and recovery coach, but you are interested in learning more about how our brain works and how you can learn how to change your life in so many ways. I think you guys have even heard me say this back when I lost my leg, when I had my amputation in March. If it really wasn't for a lot of the training that I went through with Dave and Susan Kenny, I don't know, maybe my results would have been different and my attitude would have been different. I really give those guys a lot of credit. That, of course, my higher power is what got me through it too. However, the training that these guys gave me was just amazing. So if you guys are interested in looking at changing your life in one way or another, I highly recommend getting a hold of Emergo Academy, and that's EMERGO Academy.com. My gosh. Okay. I got a great guy that's on the show today, my good friend Jimmy Bolster. And today we're going to be talking about resilience in the face of hardship. Now, just to give you guys a little bit, just a little tidbit here, Jimmy went to Encompass Health for rehab when he had his below the knee amputation. And I got a call from my friend Connie and says, "Hey, we have someone up here that just came in, and would you like to come up and visit with them?" And I love when I get these calls because I get to go up and I get to meet so many different individuals. And I mean, within a matter of seconds, walking in Jimmy's room, saying hi, introducing ourselves, I knew this guy wasn't going to have a problem at all. I knew this guy's attitude was definitely, his mindset was perfect where he needed to go. And I think we only visited for about a half hour because I think you had rehab that you had to get to or something like that. I met your lovely daughter, one of your lovely daughters anyway. She was there visiting. And yeah, Jimmy, I mean, seriously, as soon as I walked into the room, man, and just started talking to you, I went, yeah, this guy's got the freaking mindset. He's going to do just fine. He's going to make it. And lo and behold, here we are. We've become friends. We just went out and had dinner together just about a week ago, which we really had some great conversation there.
Yeah, we
Thank
did.
you for your time, Jimmy. I know you're at work, and again, I just want to say thank you for your time to come and share your story with us today.
It's an absolute pleasure and a privilege. So thank you for inviting me. It really means a lot. I think there's so much to get out there for people, and when they see people who've gone through it or are going through it, and they realize you can still make it through your trials and enjoy life, that's a message that needs to get out there. Everybody suffers one way or another, whether it's addiction or disease or eating disorders. I mean, who knows? Everybody's got their own skeletons in their closet, right? We don't wear it on our sleeve most of the time. So, um, but it's important to know that everybody's probably suffering from something, whether it's a major thing or something small or something that might seem small to you, but it's the biggest thing they've ever gone through in their life. So to them, it's as enormous as anything you've been through, because it's all perspective. It's just good to be able to talk and share with people and show that a good mindset changes everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to spin off how you say, sometimes a lot of people hold that stuff in, right? They don't want to share a lot of that stuff. And really that does more damage for ourselves more than anything because our voices are very, very powerful. I mean, it even shows with the history of individuals how powerful voices, right? You had like Gandhi and Mother Teresa and Martin Luther King and so many other influencers that when we have a positive attitude and we use our voice, how we can inspire so many other individuals. And you're doing exactly that. I mean, I see all the videos that you post up and I love how you titled it Stub Club. I mean, you talked about that. You even had a sign in your room, which I think is the sign
Speakers
behind
right
you
up
right
behind me
there.
on the
Yeah.
wall up there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in your room at Encompass, and I just love that title on there. It's again, thank you for wanting to be, to get out there and want to use your voice to help other individuals and let them know the journey. I had dinner with a bunch of guys last night, and one of my buddies was asking me stuff about my leg, and I was telling him, it's you have to change your life. Your life has to adapt now to different types of situations and things. And I was telling him I did a trip to Idaho last weekend, and I
Yeah.
had all my stuff packed up Friday night. I was going to leave really early Saturday morning so I could get there before noon and still have a whole day and spend some time with my friend and go out in nature. And I'm sitting there and making sure I got everything. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, holy crap, I got to pack my shower chair because she probably doesn't have one, right? And I'm not going to stand up in a tub with one leg and not take a chance of slipping, and
Yeah.
really getting
Been
hurt.
there, done
Right.
that.
Yeah. So it's like, holy crap, I've never packed a shower chair before. I mean, something that's so different. It's crazy. But again, this is how we have to start to adapt.
Yeah, we have to always figure out what our new normal is, and when you take normal and you put it in a box, then all of a sudden all the changes in life, whether it's just aging and getting older, right? Stuff works outside that box and you don't feel like it's normal anymore. And then that causes you to be depressed or sad or think less of yourself, and it's normal is ever evolving. And that's something we always have to keep in mind. The normal isn't a set box, and everything normal fits within it. Our life has changed, yours and mine, with the amputation. I'll talk about me specifically because your story is yours to tell, but I have the same kind of things, my new normal without having a leg. And to my life previous, that would have been crazy or difficult or wow, how did they do that? And oh my gosh, I feel bad for them. And now it's no big deal because I've accepted it and I've learned to move on with it. And now it's just my routine. The morning. I tell people with the leg, it's from sun up to sundown. I'm pretty regular, pretty normal in the world's perspective. Matter of fact, I have long pants on. I walked into work the other day and someone said, "Dude, did you grow your leg back?" Because I'm walking without a giddy up in my, without a hitch or anything.
Yeah.
And so that looks good. It's at home, it's sundown to sun up basically when the leg is off and you can't necessarily reach the stuff up high in the pantry or getting into the shower and using a shower chair or using your walker and we get into the middle of the night and you gotta go pee and all of a sudden you have to remember you can't just stand up out of bed and you either grab a walker or crutches or put your leg on to go to the bathroom, and those are the differences, right? But when you accept that and those things become your new normal, then they're your new normal.
Yeah. And and I had a beautiful lady, Heather, on the show a couple weeks ago. She's a double amputee. She came in and visited me when I was in Encompass, at Encompass, and just seeing this beautiful lady walk in with two amputations and seeing this lady's attitude really helped me a lot. Even though I had a good attitude at the time, it just really helped me. And you know, having that life change, it's like I've shared in some of my public speaking, you know, I don't want to fool people. Every day is not like a good day. And I'm sure you know that, right? There's days our leg hurts there. I mean, I went without putting my shrink sock on one night, and it took me 2 hours before I could finally get my leg into my socket, just right before I had to go to work. I mean,
Yeah.
I spent from about 5:30 in the morning till almost 8 o'clock trying to get my leg, and so it is, you have these new things, that we deal with. And it reminds me of the journey of like those in recovery of like addiction. It doesn't matter what the addiction is, right? It's
Yeah.
this new journey and the battles that we have to fight or go through to get us to a point where we really need to be. And I still have bad days here and there, man. There's days I
Yeah.
just, grab this socket and just freaking throw it against a wall as hard as I can. And then there's other
Right.
times it's like, my gosh, I'm so grateful I'm standing up again and I'm able to walk.
Right. No,
Yeah.
seriously. I think you hit it right on the nail right on the head is your mindset, and it's wrapping your mindset around it. And when we came to the realization for me that I needed to amputate the leg. I'd had 22 surgeries in the last 8 years. And
Mhm.
so I feel like I had done everything I could to save the foot. And we got to the point where my doctor even too, we just quit seeing the forest through the trees because we were so mission focused on saving the foot, saving the foot. And we were going to go through this huge procedure. And I started talking to him. I said, hey, real talk, we do a single procedure at a time and it never works. This is going to be 4 procedures wrapped into one. What are the odds? Now I'm just getting older, I don't want to lose a leg 10 years from now for if it's going to be the inevitable. And we still got a second opinion. His doctor came in, his friend, and he looked at my foot and he grimaced. And I'm like, that's all I needed to see.
Right.
I'm good, man. Take the thing off. And so, people go, wow, it's a hard decision and stuff. And yeah, it is. But on the other flip side, it was the best decision for me at the time. And so with that mindset, fortunately, I was able to not wake up from an accident without a leg, right? I went into the surgery knowing we were going to do this and I had full ownership of it. So I came out of it. Within 2 days, the rest of my body healed up. Rashes, wounds, things I had that I couldn't get rid of. My body was sending so much of its resources to that one wound that it was literally killing me, trying to save me. And within 2 days, the color in my skin came back, my health returned, my blood pressure went back to better than normal. All the dry skin and rashes healed up in my hands that were always cracked and bleeding, and I had these rashes on my legs gone. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing. What a metaphor, that negative thing was nagging at me so hard and in a way that I didn't even realize what it was doing to the rest of myself. And when I was able to separate myself from it, everything else healed. It healed up. And I'm like, dang. So I think it's a great metaphor of life. We can sometimes we get so trapped and we can't see the forest through the trees. And we just get trapped in our own world of what's going on around us. And we don't see sometimes the solutions right in front of us. And when we take the steps to make the corrections we need to, however hard that may be, it's always seems to be better on the other end, And so I went into this with a couple things. Number one, I have to take full ownership of this. And I don't believe you can change your mindset or grow. And I'm pretty sure this goes along with addiction, right? Ownership. You have to take ownership of your mistakes and who you are and the things you're battling. You can't blame other people or point fingers, And I had to take ownership of my diabetes. And I'm a cautionary tale, I tell people. I'm here because of me. And I'm your future if you're not taking care of your health. And I have a book out called Choose Your Lemonade. And it's about you make the choices in life that determine what you're going to do with the lemons life throws you, because life is bombarding you all the time with lemons. And you're either going to make good lemonade or crappy lemonade, right? Whichever one you make, you're going to attract the people that like to sip that flavor to you. So if you're making crappy lemonade, nasty, sour stuff, you're going to find those people. And they're the ones who are going to congregate around you. And they're going to be the negative downers and poor attitudes and the ones always making fun of people because they, don't have anything positive to say. And, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with, basically, that's kind of, and so if you're making bad lemonade out of lemons life's throwing you, then you're just attracting people that are in the poor me pity party as well. And you're going to become that person. And then you start repelling the good people. And that includes family.
Yeah.
Nobody wants, right? Nobody wants to be around somebody who every time, hey, how you doing? Oh, what, and all they want to do is complain. Nobody wants to be around that, and your family deserves better. Your children, your friends, your coworkers, everybody around you in your circle deserve better than that. And more importantly, you deserve better than that, right? Yourself. And so you have to take ownership, and you can't grow until you do. So I went into this thinking that, okay, I had 3 weeks to prepare for the surgery, which was kind of brutal. 3 weeks. I had a 3 week countdown. The
Oh my
Christmas.
gosh.
How you have the little paper chains and you rip one off. You say, "Yeah, I have my advent calendar for the chop day." And we're like,
Yeah.
kids and I were messing around, screwing around with that, going, "Oh, we're down to 4 days." I'm like, "Oh, starting to get real." But we just had fun with it because I had to try and keep a positive attitude about it. But I went into it and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna use this as a platform to show people, number one, the cautionary tale. If you don't take care of yourself, you're going to end up here. Statistically, about 50% of America is pre-diabetic, and it's just the way we eat and our lifestyle. And we're so busy in this country. We run around. We don't take time to relax, and we're eating fast food and processed foods, and we're not take care of ourselves the way our body was meant to. And eventually our pancreas throws up the white flag. It was like we're at war with our pancreas, every day with the way we treat ourselves. And for me, I became diabetic at 35 and didn't know anything much about it. And I went to a regular doctor who didn't know much about it either. I caught him going out of his doctor's office into the medical journal and saying, "Okay, diabetes, okay, metformin." And he came back in with my metformin prescription. So I thought taking metformin and changing to, when I got the 12-inch sandwich at the sandwich shop, putting it on wheat bread, I thought I was managing my diabetes. I didn't pay any attention to it. And all of a sudden, 12 years later, I get a wound on my foot and it doesn't heal. And it turns into 22 surgeries, 23 with the amputation.
Jeez.
And that all could have been probably preventable. So I had to take ownership. And so that's important. And so my message to everybody is, number one, it's a big message for people taking care of their health, their diabetes and stuff. Otherwise, you're going to end up here. It's just, this is where you're going to get a wound one day on your foot. It's not going to heal. It's going to get infected. And next thing you know, you'd be lucky if you end up here, right? I caught it and I only had to amputate beneath the knee, right? People who just keep ignoring it, they end up losing the knee, then the leg, then the other leg. And the next thing you know, it kills them.
Yeah.
So getting yourself in check and taking care of it, I stopped the negative progress. And right now I'm more mobile and better than I've been in a decade. Like I feel like I could get out at shortstop right now and start grounding some balls. And I'm only 12 weeks out of the surgery.
Yeah.
So it's been a great thing, right? But yeah, mindset is important. And with that positive mindset, you can conquer any of it. And so I've been making those videos on, my channel called the Stub Club. And I'm trying to be positive and upbeat. But like you said earlier too, it's so important that I don't just paint this fake picture of positivity all the time, because that's not real. And then you're not relatable, because we have our hard days. And it's important, whether it's you're an amputation or you're a recovering addict or whatever it is, you're going to have hard days. And that's the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to know that that's normal. It's okay to have a hard day. What's important to know or to do is to let yourself have it. Because if you bottle it up inside, you're going to explode. It's not a failure to have a hard day. It's not something bad for you to wake up and be a little depressed and be down and be mad at the world for a few minutes, right? What's important is that you don't live in that space.
Absolutely. And very well put. Not setting up a tent, right? Not pitching a tent and staying there, because, and I've said this on the show quite a bit, society has a way of making us, well, I don't like to say anybody can make us feel a certain way. That's our own stuff. However, society has a way of shunning on individuals, right, that are depressed or upset or different things like that. Like, we're not allowed to feel these emotions. And I've said many times, God gave us all these emotions for a reason. I mean, they're
Yeah.
here for a purpose, right? We're not here to throw them in a freaking closet and shut it and just forget about them, because we do more damage. It's kind of like how you took care of your diabetes, right? You just kind of did what you thought was still okay, and then basically still kept going on with your life. And then it ended up coming back and biting you, basically, right?
Yeah. One day it
Biting you in
exploded
the rear, but apparently it bit you in the leg this
in
time,
the legs.
you know,
Both of them.
both
Yeah.
of them, yeah.
Sucker, man.
And when we can allow ourselves to go through these emotions, I was going through some stuff a couple of weeks ago, and that was one of the reasons why I took off to Idaho. I needed to get out of my environment, and I knew I needed to get out of my environment because I knew by getting away, I was able, even just the 4 hour drive there, even though I was in my truck that I'm in all the time, I was in a new environment driving somewhere that I hadn't been since I was probably 13 or 14.
Yeah.
And to be able to sit with my own thoughts. And I my gosh, there was a time, Jimmy, when I let out three big screams in my truck, right? Just like, ah, just because I wanted to release
Go ahead.
stuff.
I'll censor it for you. Go ahead and do that again.
Yes.
There you go.
And then there was times, I'm driving down the road and I'm freaking bawling like a little kid. But that's exactly what I needed. And I knew that I needed to go and allow those emotions to go through and take their course and just allow stuff to start happening so I could get back to where I needed to be. You mentioned when you had your leg taken, all this other stuff that was going on with your body started clearing up
Immediately. two,
immediately. And
two
it
days.
happens with us even when we're holding in our emotions. When we're holding in our emotions, we're doing damage, major damage, big time damage. Just not up here. We're doing damage everywhere else in our body. But when we're allowed to let it to go through whatever it needs to go through and shake it off like animals. I mean, most animals, if you go out and watch nature, I mean, you can watch um, National Geographic Channel, watch a freaking lion or something like that chase one of the deer, whatever they call them, and he doesn't get it, and then all of a sudden the lion finally goes off, and you'll see the deer, and it just sits there and shakes, and all that deer is doing is the gazelle. I think that's what they call the gazelles.
Gazelle, right? Yeah,
It's
sure.
releasing all those emotions, right? And then it just goes about its day like nothing ever happened. But us humans, man, we just like pile it in and pile it in and pile it in and start coming up with all these negative thoughts, and we start doing all this damage to ourselves. And even for those who are in recovery, I have seen so many before and after shots. And I watched it personally with my past wife. You know, I watched her age considerably when she was in the depth of her alcoholism. And then within a matter of 2, 3 weeks, when she was going into her sobriety, man, all of a sudden her skin starts lightening up again, right? Her droopy face was going away. And I mean, that's how quickly our bodies will recover when we give it that chance to recover and allow it, have that resilience, accept your bad days. There's nothing wrong with it because we're all
I
going
don't know.
to. I was a guest on a podcast just, a matter of fact, just about 3 days ago. And the guy that was interviewing is my coach,
Oh,
and
nice.
he knows who I am and how I stuff. But I use the word shitballs, and I love using the word shitballs because life throws shitballs at us all the time, and sometimes we dodge them, and sometimes it hits us square in the face, and it's nasty as hell.
Yep.
However, as long as we just go, okay, well, we got hit. What can we do about it and do our best? And sometimes it takes us a while. Again, that's okay. And other times we can go. And I'm watching you. I've been watching your journey since you and I met, and to see how far you have gotten. And even like with myself, I've had so many people go, even my doctor's like, man, I cannot believe you're where you're at already. Holy cow, you're not supposed to be here yet. And it is what you said earlier, Jimmy. It's about getting our mind in the right spot and working towards it, knowing we're going to have challenges along the way, knowing we're going to fall,
Yep.
know that we're going to have days where we're angry.
Yep. And it's about not comparing yourself to people around you too, so you don't get this false sense of inferiority, that makes you believe you're not worth it or you're not worthy or and stuff like that. And that's a huge thing with freak social media. Everything gets painted this beautiful picture, right? And television and TV ads and everything's targeted toward the perfection, and all this crazy stuff. And you just have to realize that you're not, and it's okay. Because man, the minute you think that you have to start comparing yourself toward, against other people who appear to be perfect and have this great facade, because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes in their life, right? you start really knocking yourself down. And when you knock yourself down, you take away your ability to feel like you deserve better. And then if you don't feel like you deserve better, you don't try. And then your mindset goes to crap. And those shitballs start bullseyeing you left and right, as you said. And I'll never forget, man, when I was in Compass and I'm in the PT room. First of all, I got excited to go there. I'm like, okay, cool, rehab facility. I'm like, and then my mind goes, how does a professional athlete ever get out of shape? Because if I had the money to have somebody feed me the way I wanted to eat every day, 3 meals a day, and I had a personal trainer like 4 hours a day, life would be amazing, for me, right? And so, and I'm in the gym and I'm working out and I'm telling the trainers, no, work me harder. This isn't hard enough. Let's go. Let's get after it, And I'm looking around, and this was such an eye opener for me. It really made me sad and made me change my perspective. I'm seeing people that weren't much older than me, that were not stroke victims, that were wheelchair bound for no other reason than they'd given up.
Yeah.
Right. And they're in there, and their therapy, while I'm doing all this stuff with my trainer and trainers and working out, was they wheeled them up to the parallel bars and took 3 physical therapists to help them stand up. And then they sit back down, and they do that once or twice. And that was like all they could muster. And, you see the face is a little droopy. And so I started talking to them, and didn't have a stroke. It wasn't anything where they were physically enabled. They gave up. They gave up. And I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, I'm just going to give up today. Right? I think you wake up in the morning and you get beat enough times over the head that eventually you kind of just resign to it. And that's one of the pitfalls in life, as opposed to, looking for the positive and trying to find ways to react differently, as opposed to just accepting it. And if you let all those things that beat you in the head every day take residence in you, live in your head and not pay rent, eventually you get to that point. And there was multiple people at this rehab facility that I was just watching, and this was their journey. And I felt so sad for them. I called my wife and I said, hey, we're getting bikes. As soon as I know we haven't been able to be as active as a couple as we wanted to be, because I've spent the last 8 years in boots and on knee scooters and stuff, but we're going to start walking these trails and we're going to start riding bikes. And she's like, great, thank you, awesome. Because we're not going to end up like this. We're not going to allow this to happen. You know what I mean? We're going to go after and do everything in our power. Life happens, and sometimes that you may end up in a situation like that. But if I'm there, I want it to be because it wasn't something I had control over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just having the right mindset about all that changes everything. It changes the way you attack stuff, changes the way you approach life. I've been coaching youth sports, my whole adult life. In the last 23 seasons, I've been coaching girls fast pitch softball. We had 7 daughters between my wife and I. We're a blended family. So that's kind of what we bleed at our house. It's in our DNA. And so, I've been coaching these girls, and I've just come to absolutely love them. And this last group of girls we've had together for 7 seasons, and they're just like my nieces. I'm like uncle. I'm like the grunkle, an uncle but greater. I'm like their Grunkle Jimmy, right? But they all hold a place in my heart. And everything we do at practice, then we relate to life experiences. So one of the things that I always say is play the bounce. It's one of the chapters in my book. And it's about how, you might be at first base and you might get a great throw right to you once in a while. Other times you're going to have a shortstop ground to make a great catch, something, and throw off balance, and that ball is going to come at you kind of wild. And you have to be able to play the bounce, move, readjust, and take that ball where it's coming, because it's not going to be a perfect throw to your glove every time, right? So that's the saying that all in their heads, when I'm long dead, they're going to still wake up one morning, or they're going to be out on the field coaching their daughters, and they're going to yell, play the bounce at them, and my head's going to pop up in their face going, I
Yeah.
know. I tell them I'm occupying space in their heads and not even paying rent. They don't even know it yet, but I've made permanent dentures in there.
Yes, you
Um,
have.
yeah, right. So, but the whole play of the balance, and then we talk about how it relates to life, you know, and life just doesn't always throw you easy catches.
Hmm.
Stuff comes at you from every direction, and you just got to be ready to play the balance. And within life, you can do that, and you can just realize, and if you're expecting to have to play the balance, then things don't really catch you too far off guard.
Yeah.
Pretty much ready for it all the time. And so if you just have that expectation about life and what's going on, and you get through things easier. They told me and my wife that I would never drive again because it's my right leg, and they told my wife I would be at least a year before I was self sufficient.
Hmm.
And so if you can imagine, we had no picture of the future yet without the leg because we hadn't been through it. We didn't know anybody who'd been through it. Um, and we just knew what we were in the middle of, and watching, me struggle, learn to get around with the walker and the whole bathroom, and getting dressed and all these things, the change and the struggles. And then we're at the house when I got home from Encompass, and I got a video on this. I call it the murder step. There's a step from the porch into the house, and it's kind of high, and there's no grab bars. And it's like trying to get up that one step, and it was death defying, because if I missed on that one hop, I was
You're
going
down.
down. I
Yeah.
was down. It was out. I'm going to be down for the count. So I had the freaking murder step there, but the whole circus act of getting me out of the house, down the steps, into the car, loading the wheelchair. It took 2, 3 of us to get me in and out every day. And the thought process that that's going to be a year long, that's what we're going to be doing, and that I'm never going to drive again, and my wife's going to have to drive me to work and pick me up and take me home, and then she's working and going to school, and all this stuff was extremely overwhelming. So basically, they said that all I could say was hold my beer. You know, 1 year, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It just had to fix it, and sure enough, it didn't take that. But man, if we'd have let that from the doctor who specializes in amputations, if we'd have let those words resonate in us and resided to say, well, he said it's going to be a year, so it's going to be a year, and just sat in that world, life would be a lot more difficult. I'd still probably be struggling.
Well, and you nailed it, right? Because it plants that negative seed in our head. And when you have all that time, because a lot of times when we get out of the hospital, we have all this time, even sitting in the hospital, we have all this time, all we're doing is sitting in a freaking bed, other than our PT coming in and trying to get us up and moving around. And it's easy to start watering that seed. Really, really easy.
Yeah.
And I remember asking my doctor, and she said the same thing, however, kind of in a different way too. She goes, Al, just to let you know, it could take you up to 12 to 13 months, maybe even 14 months to get to where you want to be. And she knew I had a pretty good attitude going in at the start. But then she goes, however, it's really up to you. And I'm like, my gosh, I like that, right? It's up to me. It's up
Yeah.
to me. I get to decide how long it takes me to go where I want to go. And
Right.
I don't know how it was for you, but I remember the very first day I got my first prosthetic. Basically, it was just a freaking pole with a foot on it. There was no movement, basically, right? You didn't have a lot of flex, you didn't have a lot of cushion, nothing. And I remember walking out of my prosthetic place just angry. I was so freaking angry. I was so pissed off. I'm standing up finally. I'm still using my crutches.
Yeah.
I got to my daughter's because I was living with my daughter at the time. I got to my daughter's and I walked out. It was a nice day that day. And I walked out and went and sat by her fire pit. And I'm just looking at the beautiful scenery in her backyard. And I remember I get emotional even thinking about it. I remember getting
Yeah.
tears in my eyes going, this is effing bullshit. This is effing bullshit. Man, I cannot believe this shit is happening to me, right? What the hell? One minute I'm kicking the soccer ball and hiking freaking 10-mile hikes, and the next minute I'm freaking laying in bed with no leg. What the hell just happened in my life? And as I'm sitting there just enjoying the scenery, but just tears coming down my cheeks. All of a sudden, I just had that thought. And I went, no, 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 bullshit, bullshit. And I grabbed my crutches and I started walking back and forth on my daughter's lawn. It's like, I'm going to get this son bitch figured out. It is not going to take me down. By hell, it is not. This is not going to be what takes me down. And my daughter happened to be in her bedroom and looked down and saw me walking back and forth, and she videotaped it, which I had no clue. She's sneaky with a camera. You got to be careful when you're around my daughter.
Right?
She gets pictures, and you're like, when the hell did you get that? Should be a really good um, private investigator. But anyway, I just remember doing that, and I still remember still being frustrated. But then also the gratitude started coming in, going, my gosh, at least I'm standing up. I'm not in
Yeah.
a wheelchair. I'm not using my walker, which I've been using a walker for a long time. And talking about the steps at your place, I when I came and picked you up for dinner, I watched you come down and then go back up too. And my daughter had upstairs, and there for a while she was bringing dinner and breakfast and lunch down to me. And then I got to the point where I'm like, hey, I'd like to come up and have dinner with the family, and she's like, Dad, I was going to ask you if you thought you could come upstairs. And she has quite a few stairs to come up. And I'm like, I don't give a shit if I have to crawl. And I did. I basically went up backwards on my butt. I would push myself up.
Right.
Yep, push myself up,
Yeah.
and
There you
then
go,
she'd be
man.
standing on top there with my crutches, and then I'd scoot over to her fireplace mantle thing, and I'd push myself up, and grab the crutch, and I started having, and that was just the beginning, right? Before I knew it, I'm going up and down the stairs with my crutches, and again, it's planting the seed. And I know when you told me the story, and I want to make sure I throw this out here, and you just shared a little bit of it. You've planted a seed in all these girls that you've coached, that one day they're going to be out there and they're going to see your face, and they will. And they're going to remember what you taught them about playing the bounce. You're teaching them resilience, even in hardship.
Yeah.
Now, those girls' eyes are on you,
Yeah.
right? Because now you have to go through the resilience. You have gone through a hardship. So now, like we talked at dinner, you're like, man, I got to walk the walk now, right? I really got to walk the walk. I
I,
really, I really enjoyed that story that you told me.
I consider this a unique opportunity, and I look at it as an opportunity, I guess, because of all the years, and I mean, even dating back to the football players, the high school football and wrestling, and all the other stuff that I've coached all these years. I'm still in contact with a lot of these now not kids anymore. Some are in their 40s, and
Yeah.
but most recently, these girls right here where I live, I get to practice what I preached, and they get to see that Coach Jimmy wasn't just full of it, that hey, Coach,
Oh, I lost you, Jimmy. Hopefully he'll get back on soon. I saw him reach towards his phone. Maybe he was getting a call or something. I don't want to elaborate too much on. I want him to tell his story, but it was a really, really good story about how the girls he's been coaching, how they got to look at him now and see his resilience of what he's going through. Hopefully he'll be back on here real soon. Yeah, to get a recording of some elevator music. So during these times when this stuff happens, I can play some elevator music. Uh, okay, Jimmy, come on, click back on the link, buddy. See if I can text him really quick. I guess we'll play some music while we're waiting for him. Mm. Why it's taking you so long?
You'd have to sit down and talk over that we go back. Time is here. But I let you tell.
We'll give him a call and see.
Tell me that link doesn't work anymore.
What?
What? Hey, join meeting. It's asking for a personal link, so I went out there. I went back to the email.
I wonder if it's because we're recording.
Should allow me to join the meeting. It says, okay, Other Side of Addiction podcast with Jimmy Bolster. Join. I get the join button. Connecting. Says leave meeting. You are unable to rejoin this meeting because you were previously removed by the host.
Huh. Well, that's weird. Okay. Let me see if I can find the link. Because you definitely have not been removed.
No, anything, I removed myself.
Yeah, because I didn't touch any buttons. Next thing I knew, you just disappeared. I saw you reach for your phone. Okay.
Meeting ID. So I can join with a meeting ID.
Okay, let me go back into Zoom then. Let me see. Okay, the meeting ID is 859 6394
Okay.
5477.
5477. Meeting passcode.
I'm not seeing a passcode on here. I see the ID, but I do not see a meeting passcode.
Okay. Cancel.
I'm going to send the link over to you again just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Okay, I just sent it to you.
Okay, I'm gonna grab it real quick.
Hopefully that'll let you in.
And we're on a roll.
Because we're still recording. Haven't clicked off yet. Because if I click off, it'll go into two different recordings.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we don't do that. So I'm waiting for the.
Yeah, because I just had that happen to me a couple of weeks ago. He had some technical difficulties and disappeared, and I waited quite a while, and I finally stopped record, and then he came back, and I ended up with two different shows.
You're unable to join the meeting because you were previously removed by the host.
That's crazy. I haven't removed you. Well, I don't know what to do now, buddy.
What a bummer. Sign up, join meeting.
I mean, I can keep you on speaker here, and we can continue just the rest of the show here and just have you on speaker, and hopefully I'm hoping it's recording, which I'm sure it is. If it's hearing me, it'll hear you.
Yeah, try that. Let's see.
Gosh, now I just lost him on the phone.
Please leave your message for 8.
Okay. Apologize, folks, for this.
Trying to continue with Apple. Continue with Google right here. See if that'll work. Zoom wants you to sign in with Google. Zoom, sign in. Sign in here. Boom.
Yeah, like I said on here, I don't see any password.
Not full access. Now get started. Yeah, what a bummer, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Join. Meeting ID. Give me the meeting ID one more time. Let's see if it'll work with my own password.
Okay, it is 859 6394
6394
5477.
5477 says join. Enter meeting passcode. Dang it. I don't see that on the email. Maybe let's see speaker.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I don't know where I'd find it. Let's see, templates. Nothing there. Huh. Not for sure what to do here, Jimmy, other than we just have you just stay on the phone and we do it that way.
Yeah, might as well. Just throw a picture of ugly bug up there.
All right. So anyway, you was talking about the story of now where you're at and how the girls are going to be, basically looking at you.
It's like I was saying. I guess the picture went down, so you don't get the chance to see me cry. But I have a unique opportunity to show these athletes of mine all these years that coach actually does practice what he preaches. And it's kind of an extreme scenario, but it's true. And so I feel like if I can't stay positive, if I can't get through this, if I can't drive hard and drive through this and just take it like a boss, then I would just be a hypocrite, and I refuse to lose, man. I refuse to be a hypocrite. I refuse to let these people who have looked up to me, and that includes my children, my family, they've all kind of look up to you as dad, father, coach, whatever that role is. But I'm not going to dethrone myself from that. I'm not going to dethrone myself in their eyes. I'm not going to come across like, well, dad was just a liar, you know what I mean? Or dad was just filling our socks. He wasn't really going for it. And that's just not going to happen, you know? So it keeps me motivated. And like you were saying, when you first got your prosthetic, I'll never forget it. I kept thinking, I'm going to get that bad boy, I'm going to snap it on, and I'm gone, you know? I'm going to plug that sucker around my foot, and I'm out of here, you know? Put that thing on. I had no idea it was going to be as excruciatingly painful as it was to start walking. And I was so discouraged. I'm like, holy crap. If you're kidding me, if you're telling me this is what it's going to feel like to walk, I'll never walk around an amusement park. I'll never, you know, walk the trail again. This is so much pain. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, okay, well, I only know to do one thing, and that's, you know, run to the fire. You know what I mean? And so got that prosthetic, got it on. Wife came and picked me up from work because my prosthetic guys actually came to my work when they had the sock and everything done, and they outfitted me here. And when Rhonda picked me up, I said, let's go to Costco. And she was like, what? I said, well, we're doing Costco. I said, the best place I could figure out where it was going to be indoors where I have a lot of place to walk. So we went to Costco, and she kept telling me, do you want me to get one of those electric chairs? I kept saying, quit handicapping me.
Yeah.
I didn't let anybody push me in the wheelchair either. I'm like, nope, the minute you handicap me, I become handicapped. Stop it. It's mindset. Leave me alone. I'm going to push myself, damn it, you know? So we're walking through the store, and then about the third time she said, you sure you don't want me to go get the electric chair? Because I'm just grimacing. I said, no, please. But do keep small children and elderly people away from me. Because I might swing at it. I might swing at somebody. I'm bleeding inside my mouth right now. I'm biting my tongue and my lips so hard because there's so much pain. But we're going to do this, damn it. And I did Costco first night on that prosthetic with the walker.
Holy cow.
That was pain, man. But you know what? It just got better every day. I inflicted the most amount of pain on me I possibly could so that tomorrow it wouldn't hurt as bad. It wouldn't be as painful as it was. It just kept working through it. And then went down to, you know, using a cane. And then I'm walking through the showroom at work with a cane, and then I just let go of it, let it stand there, kind of like a scene out of Mary Poppins. Cane's just sitting there, and I kept walking.
I love it.
And I haven't picked the cane back up, and now I'm just walking pretty normal, and we made some adjustments to the prosthetic to where it offsets some of the weakness in my ligaments for my knee. So it keeps my knee straight while I'm building strength back up there. And now I'm just walking. So, but yeah, it's just, you know, when life throws you lemons, man, what are you going to do? You know, I could have sat and poured me and myself again because it hurt too much to walk, and then not made myself feel the pain and work through it. And I'd probably still be using a walker because that's easy.
Yeah.
That would have been the easy thing, you know? And, but I just refused to do that.
Well, and you have to start out somewhere though, right? You know, we had to start out with a walker, and we had to start out with crutches or a cane to get us to the point to where we finally could let go of that.
Yeah. And you know, when you're ex-military or an athlete or all these other things, you know, you just don't accept that stuff, right? I wasn't going to accept being not overcoming this. I wasn't going to accept something beating me. And so I have some unrealistic expectations for myself. And I know that. And that's what causes me more grief than anything, I think, is the fact that I expect more than sometimes I'm able to give. But I'd rather expect more and fall short than not expect enough and not reach for the stars, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I love that story because it brought some flashbacks for me. You know, when I was leaving the hospital to get ready to go to Encompass, they brought the wheelchair in, and I says, no, I'm not getting that wheelchair. And like, well, you have to. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not getting in the wheelchair. I says, I will go down there with my walker. And they says, you cannot. We have to have you in the wheelchair because we got to strap you in the van and all that. So I'm like, okay, all right, I get it. So they put me in a wheelchair. They rolled me in the van. They get me to Encompass. They roll me in my room. I get out. Well, I was supposed to be in rehab for 12 days, and I ended up getting released after 8. And the same thing, they brought the wheelchair in, and I'm like, I'm not getting in that damn thing. And they're like, you don't want us to wheel you out to the vehicle? I says, hell no. I says, where's my crutches? I'm gonna walk out on one freaking leg. I'm not getting in that damn wheelchair at all.
That's awesome.
And but again, that's where I had to be, like what you're saying, Jimmy. It's a place where we have to put our minds somewhere else. And I loved how you put it. You know what? Would rather give it a shot, right? And maybe fall a little bit short or make it all the way to the finish line. But if we don't try, we don't know. We don't know how far we're going to get. And even if we just go a little ways, that little ways is the start of something big, as long as we attempt to go that direction.
It is, and it goes back to having a positive attitude, that mindset. If you fell short but you tried, you can try again. If you never bother to try, then just trying has become the obstacle, right? So you gotta try, and you gotta allow yourself to fall short, and it's okay. It's like we say, it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to fall short, man. That means you're setting good goals. If you accomplished every goal the first day you went after it, then you're not challenging yourself enough. And if you don't challenge yourself, you're not going to grow, and it's just, I wasn't going to let that happen, period. And so, the same thing, I was in a Compass, and I was thinking I was going to be there for 2 weeks or whatever. And on day 8, they kicked me out. I was so mad. I'm like, what if I stage a fall? They're like, geez, stop it. I said, what if I'm going to fall tonight in the bathroom? Then I'm going to fall. Then you guys can't kick me out. They're like, Jim, no. So I'm like, I can't get come up with reasons to stay, because I was enjoying working out with the trainers so much. I was so disappointed that I had to leave.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm getting fed. I'm not being a burden to my family. I'm getting to work out all 4 hours a day. And, I was that guy at Encompass, like the mascot. When I was done with training, I sat in a wheelchair and I rolled around the entire place. I did like 20 laps a day. And, someone would make eye contact with me. I'm like, hey, I go play cards with them or something. I was just like, I wasn't just going to sit in my bed. I'm only going in the bed to sleep. I'm not going to lay in that thing all day. I'll go crazy. So I stayed in my chair all day long and just rolled all over that place.
I love it. Well, and apparently they don't get a lot of that, right? Because when
I can tell by the looks on some of the nurses' faces that no, they don't.
When they brought my walker into me, and I could smell coffee brewing in the morning. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, they'd come and bring me meals and stuff, and I'd ask for coffee. And a lot of times the nurses would bring me coffee in it. I'm like, I just felt bad, like I'm being catered to. And I'm like, I don't really want to be catered to. So I got to where I asked if I could just go down to the cafeteria with my walker. And they wasn't really very happy about it, but they finally went with it. And it was hard for me to carry a cup of coffee. I'd have to only fill the coffee cup up about half full, because you're holding it with your hand and also using your hands to hold onto the walker, right? While you're going. And one of the gals saw me, and she actually put a pouch on the front of my walker. And I was so freaking thrilled. I didn't think I would ever have been thrilled to have a little teeny pouch, kind of put on my walker. It's kind of like the first time you get one of those little horns on your bike, and I was able to fill my coffee up, put a lid on it, and put it in that little pouch, and get myself all the way to my room and sit down and enjoy a nice cup of coffee. And it's crazy, because they said, it's very, very seldom do they see people like that. And in a way, we're tooting our own horns, which, I told somebody one time on a show that I said, I'm not tooting my own horn. And they're like, why the hell aren't you? Because that's a celebration. If you're doing something that somebody doesn't expect you to do, that's a celebration. And so I think with what we're saying by tooting our horns, it's not like our ego that's getting in there. It's just saying, hey, we've accomplished something that really we didn't think we were going to be able to accomplish.
Right. 100%. And, again, I don't agree. I agree with you. It's not tooting your own horn. It's just, it's important for people to know that it's possible, and so you get out and you do it and you pave the way, it's thought if I can be a light to people in here and put a smile on people's face in the midst of being in a rehab facility and stuck in a chair or in a bed, then I can do some good today. However, whatever that ends up being, whether it just put a smile on somebody's face who is really sick and depressed, or maybe it motivates somebody else going, hey, if that knucklehead can do it, I know I can, and whatever it ends up being, it's just, I just feel like if you live your life with that being your mission, as opposed to, finding ways to be upset or finding ways to put limits on you. One of the taglines on some of the apparel I'm creating is limitless, not limited,
Yeah, I love
and
that.
it's just, don't limit me. I'm not going to limit myself, and just keep that positive mindset, and that's really the story. And in my book, I go through, if you read the book, you'll get to know me on a really kind of a personal level, because it's not AI generated. It's not where I plugged in an idea and let AI write a book. These are my stories, and all the way from, getting divorced and being a single parent, going through the market crash and losing everything, and starting over from really the depth of poverty and having done really well, to, diabetes, and how I let that beat me for a while because I didn't pay attention to it, and then how the mindset changed and I took control of it. And now it's nothing. It's just my new normal, and it doesn't even affect my day-to-day life. It's totally in check. I live my life totally fine. You wouldn't know I was diabetic. I eat right. I eat well. I take care of myself, and I understand the disease. And that mindset change came. This is a fun story. In the hospital. This is in the book too. This is funny. I had this nurse. I'm in the hospital. I got this infection, and the infectious disease doctors are working on me, and we're figuring out I have to get another PICC line in the arm, and it's just a mess. And I'm pissed at this point. I'm mad at the world. I'm mad at everything. And I'm like, PICC lines are, you don't have to stay in the hospital, but man, that drags you down. You're taking antibiotics to your PICC line 4 times a day, and they're an hour and a half drip. You're never sleeping, and you're doing it at work, and you walk around, you're looking like a freak show because you got tubes hanging out of your arm and all this stuff. And for 6 months at a time, this last one. So I was mad, right? And the nurse looked at me, and in a very non-bedside manner kind of a way, said, as they were talking about the things they were going to do to fix me, right? She looked at me, she goes, it's not going to matter. I said, what? She goes, nothing we're going to do here is going to make any long-term solution for you. You're just going to be back here in 6 months after you're done with this again anyway. And I'm like, why would you say that? She just slapped me upside the face. And sometimes you need to be punched, and nobody had done it to that point. And she did what I needed. She punched me square in the face. And she said, I treat diseases. And this was where it got really profound. She says, she says she was diabetic. And she says, if God himself came to me and said, I am going to afflict you with a disease, but you get to pick which one it is. She said, I would pick diabetes. And my jaw dropped. I'm like, what? Why in the world? And she looked me square in the eyes and she said, it's the only disease you can control. And my whole world changed. And I realized at that point that attitude and mindset are really the only things I have control over. So why would I give that power away? And that has been kind of the motto, my mantra, if the only thing I have power over, I can tell my kids a million things a million times. I can train my salespeople over and over again. I can obey every traffic law, but I can't control the people driving their cars and what they're going to do. I can't control the decisions my children are going to make when they're out in the real world and I'm not around. I can't control how my salesmen are going to treat customers when I'm not there overseeing it. I have no control over any of that. All I can control is my attitude. And so why in the world would I give that power away, right? And by letting diabetes beat me, by by being down and negative, that's exactly what I was doing. I was giving that power away. And I just said, you know what? That's never going to happen again, period. And so I changed my mindset. And when I changed my mindset and I took control and I took over and I quit being poor me and quit being mad, and I just figured out what I had to do, and I took it as a task or a goal. I figured it out, and my blood sugar has been fine. My A1C has been great ever since. Now the damage was done from my earlier stupid years, where I was just being dumb. But I've at least I put a limit to that, and I'm suffering because I was stupid, and because I didn't pay attention. And so I'm where I'm at today, strictly 100% because of me. And so I own that.
Yeah.
Ownership, right?
Yeah.
But I'm also where I'm at today because of me. I'm in better shape. I'm in better condition. I'm overcoming this amputation, and I'm doing all this with this mindset because of me as well. So it's just a simple little switch, man. You flip the switch and it changes everything sometimes.
Yeah. Well, most times, right? I mean, it really does. It's just like walking in a room and it's dark and hitting that light switch and it comes on and we're able to see what's in front of us. But if we're walking around in the dark, yeah, the room's the same. However, if we're walking around in the dark all the time, nothing's changing. Yeah,
that's a perfect analogy, because what's in the room is in the room. Yeah. And it's the same whether the light's on or off. It's just how you see it or you don't. Yep. It's whether you flip that switch or not.
Absolutely. Well, Jimmy, man, thank you for your time. Is there, we're a little over the hour. Is there any last thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
I am not very great at technical difficulties. So I apologize for the Zoom going out, but I just I'll give you the link to the book. I'm going to set it up there, and if you feel like you could use it, or somebody in your life that could use it, or maybe you could listen to these lessons and share it, because I tell you what, everybody, if it's not you, is sitting around the dinner table with somebody that probably needs to be punched in the face like I did. And most times family members don't do it because we're too scared, right? Sometimes a friend isn't a real friend, but they're a friend, they're a fun friend, but they're not the friend that's gonna tell you what you need to hear for fear they're gonna offend you. And I promise you, it's better to offend somebody and let them digest it. And whether it takes a week, a day, 6 months, or a year, and they digest what you hit them with, they'll be grateful for it, because nobody else will have done that. So, just be that person to those around you. Be that person to yourself is what I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to challenge you to make the best lemonade you can out of the lemons life throws you.
I love it. That is really good advice, because I had the same thing happen to me. Somebody opened up to me and told me I was known as a liar and a manipulator, and I called BS on it, and I sat with it for a couple of weeks and finally realized, you know what? They're 100% right. That's exactly who I am. And that's when my life started changing. So I love that you finished with that, because sometimes we do have to get hit pretty square in the face before our eyes will open.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's it goes back to that thing that Mike Tyson said, right? Everybody thinks they have a plan until someone punches them in the nose.
Until someone punches them in the nose. Yeah. Yeah. It's we'll go back to the dark room analogy, right? Let's say there's a window in the room, but the drapes are keeping the light from coming in, and sometimes you got to rip those damn drapes down. So, yep. Well, Jimmy, buddy, thank you so much, man. I am just so blessed and honored that I've had the opportunity to meet you and be able to come up and talk with you and use an compass, and that we've continued to grow this friendship, and thank you for the great advice that you gave during the show here. And I know somebody out there is going to hear this and they're going to have their aha moment. So thank you for using your voice to make a difference.
Man, it was 1000% my pleasure. And I'm just grateful you gave me a platform. So thank you so much, Alan. I appreciate you, man. Love you, brother. And we will talk soon.
Okay, buddy. Sounds good. All right. Well, guys, we're going to leave you with this again. Thank you to Emergo Academy for sponsoring the show. Greatly appreciate you guys. Again, emergoacademy.com, EMERGO academy.com. Thank you guys. Thank you to all our guests and our future guests. We've got some really good ones that's scheduled. And also thank you guys to you listeners. You guys are the ones that's keeping this going. So thank you so much. I love and appreciate all you guys so much. And we're going to leave you with this as we do at the end of every show. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.